Well, I hope you're not asleep yet, because it's Sunday night, and you've guessed it again. It's time for Grandma's Night. Here's a story by Jimmy, and I like this story. It goes like this. I would like to share a short anecdote which is special to me. One day when my sister Allison and I were about 10 or 11 years old, we, for some crazy forgotten reason, decided to run away from home. Without even packing clothes or anything else, we took off for parts unknown. After boarding a local bus, destination unknown, we suddenly found ourselves in downtown Fresno, near where the mall now exists. Wow, pre-mall. After walking around for a while, we found ourselves at the Hardy Theater watching some ridiculous film about the Russian Revolution, which was quite boring considering this was still our Walt Disney era. Around 5 p.m., the first pangs of guilt arrived, and Allison and I headed back to our neighborhood and home. And following a short ordeal where Mary and a body and company hid us out in a vacant house, we finally ended up facing the wrath of the woman you all know as Aunt Marie. Have you ever had the wrath of Aunt Dee Dee? So, to my shock, no one said anything to me about the whole ordeal, but instead, my dad took me over to Gramma's to spend the night. He said not a word to me on the way, but dropped me off at the back door without so much as a nod. Upon entering Gramma's, I was met with a sad but relieved welcome, and Gramma, of course, fixed Ovaltine and graham crackers. I was then off to bed in Uncle Neil's old room. Incidentally, why is this Uncle Neil's old room and the other's Aunt Janet's? Actually, I thought the other one was Aunt Dottie's room. But where did Uncle Howard, Aunt Dee Dee, and my dad sleep? Well, Jim, that was on Arthur Avenue. This is West Brown here. And if you got any other questions, talk to Mark. I'm sure he can give you the exact time that Grandma moved into her house. Anyway, on the way home from 8 o'clock Mass the next morning, Grandma suddenly stopped at Aunt Janet's gate and said for me to go to the house alone. Because my grandfather wanted to talk to me. She would be there in a while, she said, and this, of course, came as quite a shock. But the tone in Grandma's voice indicated resistance would be regrettable. The anxiety of the last few steps up the alley and through the gate compare only with the once or twice I have had to tell my dad about minor automobile accidents. Jim, let's not go there. But again, I digress, and I prefer those stories remain left untold. Very good. Anyway, upon entering the house, I immediately noticed that Grandpa had biscuits and coffee all ready for a typical Grandma Sunday breakfast. Apprehension disappeared in a wave of typical biscuit-feeding frenzy. Now, up to this point, Grandpa hadn't said a word until he sat down opposite me. Or is it I? I still don't know. Jim, I don't know either. I still make mistakes on that. He looked at me, and then, with the most serious expression I have ever witnessed, began to speak softly. Jimmy, he said, I just want to tell you that Grandma and I and your parents love you very much. As you go through life during good times and in bad, your family will always love you and will always be there for support. Sometimes you may feel neglected or sometimes forgotten, but always remember your family because they love you and will always be a part of you. These are the words that have always stuck with me, and this is how I remember Grandpa and Grandma, always a part of me and always loving and supporting. I am sure that by no coincidence this took place in Grandma's kitchen, a place of the fondest memories and of the greatest meals. And the truth is, after this conversation with Grandpa, Jimmy never got in trouble again.